Maile's intention to meet with staff on Saturday and appointing an administrator is therefore wholly premature in terms of Section 139 of the Constitution. Maile and Gauteng Premier David Makhura are riding roughshod over our Constitution and democracy. This again confirms our contention that their actions are illegal, and preliminary legal advice confirms this. The battle for the city of Tshwane goes much deeper than a dispute about service delivery and its ability to hold council meetings. The real fight is a principled one, making the Constitution and its democracy the actual battlefield. There are municipalities in Gauteng that are on the brink of real collapse with very poor financial and service delivery records. These are the municipalities that should concern Maile and offer a strong case for being placed under administration. His refusal to do so can only be explained that these are ANC-governed municipalities. It further proves that his motives are clearly political. The strategy of the opposition to collapse council meetings since November 2019 was a coordinated and orchestrated effort executed in conjunction with Maile to create the perception that the city of Tshwane is in crisis. It was their intention from the start to place the city under administration in order for the ANC to get its hands on the resources of the municipality through the back door. It is in light of these facts that the DA has taken a principled stand to stand up and fight for democracy. We have obtained legal advice and will in all probability interdict the dissolution of the municipality. The process followed by Maile and the provincial government is fatally flawed because they have not followed due process. A clear example of this is a 200-page response which I have in front of me, and if you count the annexes, over 600 pages was prepared by the city to Maile's concerns raised in December last year. Despite us forwarding the response to his directives, he has not acknowledged receipt of our responses, neither has he commented on the responses whether it sufficed. So we have absolutely no interaction with him after we send him the responses to the directives. He has clearly ignored the content of this report, as he has not responded to it nor acknowledged receipt to date. This once again proves that he was adamant to place the municipality under administration, despite having no solid evidence to do so. This is a very important battle, as we expect more coalition governments after the 2021 elections all over Africa. If we allow the opposition to subvert democratic processes, to get their hands on municipal resources without having to govern and being accountable, it will undermine our country's constitution and democracy. We call on all our residents, as well as the citizens of Gauteng, to stand with the DA in this principal battle. The only way we can bring back good governance, fight corruption, and grow the economy in our cities is through building strong democratic governments. The DA has a track record of delivering quality services to the residents where it governs. Furthermore, the DA has a very strong and well thought out plan to take the city of Tshwane forward over the next 15 months. This plan is centered around improving service delivery, communication, and generally addressing the concerns of our residents. It is visibly clear that the opposition wants to undermine anyone leading up to the 2021 elections. Currently, the service delivery is proceeding as per business as usual with delegated powers. Electricity is still restored, revenue is still collected. A traffic control circle was built around the corner from this very office last night, and in general, the attitude from both the city officials and our councillors is that it will remain business as usual. However, If an administrator is placed in control of the city, he is not accountable to the representatives democratically elected by the residents. Any mismanagement or corruption that is happening under his watch is likely to be swept under the carpet, as he will only be accountable to Maile, whom we do not trust. This is a further subversion of democracy. Our councillors remain committed to service delivery regardless of what processes unfolds, and will continue to assist residents in Tshwane to ensure that service delivery does not come to a halt. The residents of Tshwane remain our main priority regardless of any political games by the opposition. We have confirmed that the delegated powers to the different departmental heads remain intact as per council resolution, and this will assist with the implementation of service delivery programs. The DA caucus and all its councillors stand united to fight the dissolution of council. We will continue to fight for services and will not stop to serve our communities in Tshwane in these trying times. The DA calls for all residents to remain calm and join us in this principal fight to protect our democracy. Continue to contact your councillor and continue to report any service delivery issues, as we will continue to serve. Thank you. You now have the opportunity to ask us any questions. Please go ahead.
Patricia, from the SABC, can you give us an update how far or what development is there in your legal battle that you are planning to pursue? How far have you consulted? Are there papers being drawn?
Well, let me start from the beginning. There was a media statement yesterday that the Gauteng provincial government is placing the city of Tshwane under administration. To date, we have received no formal notice. So there is no administration. However, we started consulting with our legal advisors, and we expect a finalized legal opinion soon.
You're saying there has not been any communication from the province. Who should that communication go to?
Normally the communication goes to council and should go via the speaker normally. And from there it gets referred to normally the city manager. There's no city manager, so in this case we have two positions which are equivalent to acting city manager, so it should be forwarded to those two individuals as well, copied to those two individuals as well.
By law, how much time does the Premier and Mr. Maile have to issue that communication? Is there, because obviously the announcement happened about 24 hours ago, is there a particular stipulation that they have to do it within this period, or can they do it any time?
No, even if they take a year, there's no prescription. What the law merely says, they need to notify the Minister of COCTA, and they also need to notify the National Council of Provinces. And once they've notified the National Council of Provinces, the 14 days then start counting. And the National Council of Provinces then has an opportunity to overturn their decision within that 14-day period. And only after the 14-day period does the actual administration take effect.
So what you're saying is that until then, you think that the status quo remains?
Yes, we remain councillors, and council is intact. And we can even hold council meetings. So it's business as normal.
One of the reasons that they cited yesterday why they've decided to put the city under administration is because the city doesn't have the mayor, doesn't have the city manager as we speak. Don't you think those reasons are justifiable?
Well, whether it's justifiable, we need to look at the law. What Section 139 of the Constitution says. The Section 139 Constitution says if you fail in your executive obligations and whether there are exceptional circumstances, that is not an executive obligation. It's not an executive So we looking at the reasons given, those 6 reasons given, none of them are valid. as I said, directives were sent to us. It was fully responded to. He totally ignored the response we gave him. He never acknowledged receipt. He never read the reports and say, these are your shortcomings in the responses. There was absolutely no engagement. So from sending us a directive, after our responses, he then decided to place us under administration. So clearly due process was not followed. And you must remember, 139(1)(c) is a very, very extreme measure. You use it after you've gone through an extensive process and there's absolutely no other alternative. He's never gone through any of those processes. That he's supposed to give support, all those type of things. Like Mangaung, for example. Mangaung is totally bankrupt. The provincial government is pouring billions of rands into a hole in Mangaung. But Mangaung hasn't been placed under administration. Totally bankrupt city. So where's the fairness in the process? Absolutely none at all. This is a political game. The ANC has decided they're not prepared to fight an election to gain control in the city of Tshwane. They want it now, and they're making use, they're abusing political state machinery to gain access to the capital city, which is an unfortunate development for the residents of Tshwane.
John Bailey, ENCA, how is this political game, how is it impacting or going to impact on residents of Tshwane?
For the time being, as my statement said, there are delegations of power where a group head, we call them group heads, but they're actually departmental heads, where they will be able to continue to function, be able to continue service delivery. And as I've said, council is still in place. So you can still approach your local councillor if you have any service delivery problems, and your councillor still has the power to address those problems.
But until when is that? When are those powers going to be taken away?
Well, as I said, they have to notify the NCOP. Once that notice has reached the NCOP, then the 14 days start kicking in, and then the dissolution of council takes effect. However, if there's litigation, that can delay the whole process. So we're waiting for legal opinion to see which direction we're going. But as we are here now, the status quo remain. Council is still in place.
So you don't recognize the decision that was taken, or the statements that were made by the ANC?
No, it's not about recognition. What I'm saying is the whole process is set out in section 139 of the Constitution, how council gets dissolved. So at the end of the process, if they are successful, and once the 14 days has started counting off, at the end of that 14 days, then council could be dissolved. But for example, if the NCOP disagrees with the province, they can overturn the provincial decision. So then the decision of yesterday does not stand. Or we could go to court, and the courts could overturn that decision. So it's a bit premature to speculate what's going to happen. But as we stand now, council is still in business.
The governance crisis in the city that is characterized by the absence of the mayor and the acting city manager. What would be your practical solution to it?
Well, the practical solution is that parties need to consider what is their primary interest for being here in council. Is it to serve their own political purposes, or is it to serve the residents? If it is to serve the residents, then the parties should come together and determine what is the best way for us to move forward to deliver services to the residents. That has never happened.
The legal advice that you said you obtained, what does it say?
What I'm saying is we're consulting at the moment. Preliminary legal advice say that due process has not been followed. We're waiting for the final legal opinion which we will get within the next few days. So this has been referred to senior counsel.
you're saying that the status quo remains. You can even call council meetings
Yes.
if you please to do so. Are you planning to do so?
Well, that will depend on, we need to have Whooperi meetings and stuff like that, and programming meetings. So we will meet with the other parties and determine the way forward.
Other parties are looking forward to the end of 90 days so that they can contest for the elections. Are you not looking forward to that?
Look, for us, as long as fair process has been followed, for example, if we should take this matter to court and the court should determine that fair process has been followed, we will accept the result. And then we will prepare for elections. But you can't say that a province just ride roughshod over the constitution, over our democracy, behaves unlawfully, and then we must just sit back and accept it. And say, okay, throw up our hands and say, let the ANC do what they want to do. I mean, if you look at what's happening in the country, if you look at the Zondo Commission, where individual members of the ANC has been involved in state capture of state-owned enterprises, of even organs of state, like the National Prosecuting Authority. Now you find out there's been absolutely no consequences for these members of the ANC. So if their members can get away with it, why not the party? So now you find that the party is not capturing an organ of state, which is a municipality. And that has to be stopped, because that poses a danger for our democracy.
Just for interest's sake, let's say yesterday's announcement is substantiated on all platforms, even in the courts of this country, and we have to now go through the whole by-election process.
It's a new election, not a by-election.
Or election process.
Yeah.
We have to go through the whole election process. How confident is the DA of its hold of power and the confidence that it draws from the people of Tshwane to reinstate power in the hands of the DA?
You see, for the DA, it's not about the power issue. For certain parties, it's about power. For us, it's to participate in the political arena, whether we're in government or whether we're in opposition. Because the sole purpose of whether you're in government or whether you're in opposition is to serve the people. But if you start talking about power, you start talking about resources, about tenders, about those type of things. And that's what the ANC is about gaining access to resources. So for us, it's not we're going to fight an election to gain power or to remain in power. We're going to fight the election so that we can participate in governance, whether it's the executive or whether it's the opposition, so that we can serve the people at the end of the day.
Okay. If you take your track record into consideration and just looking at its results throughout the capital city, since you came into power in 2016, do you feel confident that you've actually honored your 2016 electioneering promises to the people of the capital city? Do you feel you've done enough? You actually lived up to that manifesto?
We definitely lived up to our manifesto. Have we done enough? No. You can always do more. Because it would be highly arrogant to say that you've done enough. You always need to do more. That's what service is about. But if you look at the city, when we took over the city in 2016, we had a 2 billion rand deficit on the budget. This city was verging on the brink of corruption, of bankruptcy. Verging on the brink of bankruptcy. We had a Moody's rating, a negative outlook, which meant at the time they were going to downgrade the financial standing of the city even further. We turned it around. The next year, we had a positive rating from Moody's. The last financial year, we got 2 upgrades. We got upgraded by 2 notches. We totally turned around the financial circumstances of the city. we were making more and more money available for service delivery instead of paying interest on debt. And that's what the ANC was doing. A lot of the money, the revenue of the city, went off to pay off interest on debt. So if we had stability in the city, we would have been able to do more.
The fact that you're planning to stage against the provincial executive decision with a view of overturning a decision, of course, don't you think it's going to be like a losing battle?
No, definitely not. Why should it be a losing battle? It's not the provincial government or the DA who determines the rules of the game. The rules of the game is in our constitution. The constitution outlines the rules. So the question the High Court will be asked, did the provincial government play according to the rules? That's the question that will be asked. And it's our opinion they did not. Are you exhausted now?
No, we're not exhausted. We've got many questions, but I think the issue right here is it's almost a repeat of the same things. We now need to see what your court case produces and whether the right procedures were followed to place the city under administration. Because we're going to just go in circles.
Yes.
The things, many of the things that you've just said now were said earlier this week by John Steenhuisen and yourselves when you held your other press briefing and previously, so it's really nothing new. So we just need to now wait and see. It's
a good thing to repeat the truth. Repeating lies are bad.
Problem is we never know, as the media we never know when do you guys lie, when do you tell us the truth until we start digging.
You know what I always say? For you to be able to hold politicians to account, you need to know the legislation that governs them.
Yeah.
You get all these books, you have them on the table. No politician will ever lie to you.
I sometimes doubt these books as well when it comes to the fate of our people. But that's a debate for another day.
Okay, if there are no more questions.
That's going to be former chief whip.
He's gone totally off script, so thank you very much for coming here this morning.
Sounds like you've already chosen sides.
No, I know he chose a
Thank
side
you very
of
much.
What is your side? I also want to know what's your side.
No, I don't have a side. I'm neutral.
What is the side?
He's referring to the former chief whip council.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You don't
you.
believe that you are a Bona?
Not very long.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not according